Hope I don't get in trouble for this, because I know Mike TV gives permission. That was Mike TV. My mic's not doing a thing. Hold on. Alright. Yep, theoretically. Now you can hear me, right? Oh, my hair's a mess. Welcome to Dine with Nine. Not dining today. We're going to start some bread, though. Yeah, you can hear Rob's meeting, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But I couldn't keep waiting and waiting and waiting. I wanted to get this going. So, some of you might have been at the New Year's Eve stream I did with Diamond Club on New Year's Eve. And we raised over $1,000, $1,015, plus a couple hundred going into next year's, which is awesome. I'm thinking about if I want to put that thermometer up here and just, keep raising money for them. I've mailed most of the stuff I gave away. Was cookbooks and seasoning mixes and stuff. What I'm doing right now is Searanex won a Tell Me What to Stream, and he wants a fancy grilled cheese. The fanciest grilled cheese I could come up with. We have slightly different definitions of fancy, and his tastes are a little different than mine, but we talked a little in Discord, and I'm going to make a homemade herb cheese bread to start with. Now, this bread recipe I've made a lot of times. It's from the Kitchen Witches Cookbook, hence the stream announcement, by Patricia Telesco, which I've had so long, pages are filthy and falling out. And I make this bread often as a housewarming or a gift at a business opening. It's so good. So I'm going to make a loaf of that. But it's got 2 rises. It's got like a 45-minute rise. And then you form it, you put a loaf in it, and then you rise another 40 minutes. And then it bakes for like 35 to 40 minutes. So, yeah, I'm gonna just get this going on this stream, and then I'll do the rest of it off stream, and then I'll either start streaming when I put the bread in the oven, more likely when I am taking it out, so we get a little time for it to cool and chat and taste it, and then put the sandwich together. So I'm going to split this into 2 streams, this prize. Cool? Cool. Let's start with flour, of course. I'm having this recipe. It normally makes 2 loaves or 1 big giant wreath, which I've done. I've done like braids of it, which is really pretty because you brush it with butter and it gets all brown on top and it looks super fancy. So it's going to be 3 cups of flour. I will put the recipe in my Discord. If you join my Discord, I always post the recipes for what I'm making, if one exists. Or if they don't, I try to, this is the record of creating one. So you can get as close an idea as exists from attending streams, I guess. I have another 3 cups of flour. I have another prize to give away. I made cookbooks doing this recipe. I'll be my friend Daniel, Reverend Barney, who's my co-host on Heresy and Hearsay. Hold on. Won another recipe on stream giveaway, and he's asked me to do carbonara or Alfredo. I think I would do carbonara because I've done the bacon here and I've talked about carbonara, and I've got, portions ready to go of the bacon all prepped for carbonara. This is something we do on the regular in my house. Okay, so 3 cups of flour. Normally 2 envelopes of yeast. I only need 1. Tablespoon of salt, so I need a teaspoon and a half. We'll do the salt. And maybe a little less because the cheese is going to be salty. Even though it doesn't tell you to reduce the salt, it never hurts. There's my yeast. Hello. Oh, it's under the bowl. Excuse me, so an envelope of yeast. Now, what I'm going to do with the yeast here is a little different because the recipe does have, there's a tablespoon of shortening in there, by the way. Not sure why, but it's in the recipe and I've always used it and it's always been great. It might help with the crumb because this doesn't have any milk in it, but it's still good for a sandwich bread as far as the crumb goes. This has like a tablespoon and a half of sugar in the recipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the yeast in very warm water, it calls for, and I'm going to put the sugar in there with it. This is almost always advisable. I didn't get a tablespoon. I just need a tablespoon and a half. Take 3. So that's a tablespoon plus 1.5 teaspoons. Basically, you're testing your yeast. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it should get foamy. I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes, and the sugar will help feed that. And if it doesn't get foamy, your yeast is dead, no matter what the expiration on the packet says. I also might have made the water too hot, which will also kill your yeast, so that's okay. I got plenty of yeast in the house if I need to redo this. But we're going to let this sit and develop a minute before we put it in the flour, in the dry mix, to make sure the yeast is farting gas, because that's what makes your bread fluffy. Okay, so I did the sugar, water, shortening, soda, flour. Okay, and now here's where we go to switch to the herb cheese additions. I need a cup of grated cheddar. Let's do the herbs first to just get them out of the way here. Teaspoon of rosemary, so, like a half. But by the time I crush this, not bothering with the mortar and pestle. And again, with herbs, if you really like one, go ahead and give it a little more. But definitely crush them before adding them to this to release all the oils. As a general rule, you want to do this with herbs. With spices, you kind of want to toast them, things that are berries and nuts. Yeah, I'm going to say that's about a half teaspoon. A quarter teaspoon of thyme. Hello. Sage. This is grown in my garden. I don't have to mess too much with that because I have run it through a grinder after dehydrating it myself. Parsley. So yes, there's rosemary, thyme, sage, parsley, and dill. It also's got some onion. You can use minced dry onion or a little fresh minced. I'm going to use some fresh minced in this. If I get the parsley open, that'd be great. Half, so about a quarter teaspoon. I'm not too worried about overdoing parsley. It's not the most flavorful herb in the cupboard. I'm not liking this. I'm going to end up redoing my yeast. The yeast is dead. He's dead. Let me make sure I get all the herbs in here first. Get the dill in here before I walk away and forget dill, because it is really important of all these herbs. There's a half teaspoon, so I'll put about a quarter. A little more. I love dill. And let's get some more hot water. There we go. Not hot. Alright, come on, do not find you just taking a shower. I'm gonna have to grab a pack of these too. But that's handy because I just got to a part, you know, a little bit more. Just to make a sandwich for Searanex that you can't eat. I think a grilled cheese would travel across the country very well. Okay, let's put that in there, and we need to put the sugar in again. So it was supposed to be 3 tablespoons, so 1.5 tablespoons. This already looks like it's starting to foam up better. And we'll let that sit a minute while great cheese. I'm going to use an extra sharp cheddar for this. I normally keep white cheddar in my house. It's not a freaking out about artificial color. Usually annatto, which is just a plant, is what's used to color cheese, despite some people's belief. But I just need a cup of cheese. Do I need a cup? I need a full cup. Hold on. Oh, I only need a half a cup. That's right, I'm having the recipe. I want it to kind of show and color the bread a little bit, just to make it a little more attractive. I'm going to use 2 kinds of cheese when I make the sandwich. I'm going to use a smoked cheddar, provided I can find it. A smoked cheese is something Searanex and I talked about. And if I can't find a smoked cheddar, because I didn't yesterday at Aldi, I'm going to get something else smoked, probably a Gouda. If I use smoked Gouda, I'm just crumbling this shortening in here and getting the flour, cheese all coated. If you coat your cheese with flour, it'll mix around in the dough better, more evenly. I want a cheese that melts really, really well to pair with one that doesn't as well. Cheddar doesn't tend to melt very well. That's why, usually you're using like American. A lot of us in our grilled cheese. And if you make a grilled cheese with just cheddar, it gets kind of greasy because it breaks, it separates. And waiting for my yeast to foam up. I'm gonna need another bowl and oil. So, depending if I find the smoked cheddar. If I don't find the smoked cheddar, I use a different smoky cheese. If I use smoked Gouda does melt well because of the fat proportion. Then I'll use cheddar, sharp cheddar, and smoked Gouda. If I find a smoked cheddar, I'm going to use that and a Munster to kind of give the nice melty balance to the sandwich that we want. I suggested pepper jelly. I love hot pepper jelly on my grilled cheese. Sean was not very interested in that. Although he is interested, I've got like just a couple slices left of my homemade bacon that we'll be putting on the sandwich when we finish it up. Okay, see the nice bubbles? You see the nice bubbles? So that means my yeast is alive. It's alive. Okay. I'm just going to use my hand and it's going to be a big mess. And that's fine. Now I'm going to be mixing this a little bit because you're supposed to be beating it with a mixer for a minute. And I didn't want to get the KitchenAid out just for bread. And, you don't always need to rely on it. Not everyone has one. I didn't have one most of my life. If you're doing it in a mixer, I also wouldn't put the flour all in at once. I'd put like half of it in, and then you mix it for a while, and then mix it in the rest like a cup at a time. But if you're doing it in a bowl, you just put it all in at once. How much does this need to be needed? I haven't made it in a couple years. I'm trying to think when the last person I know had a housewarming I brought it to. I'm just doing this so it's easy to handle, and then I'm going to put it on a floured board and knead it until it's elastic. So it's going to take a bit. It's going to take probably maybe 10 minutes to get this done the way you want. So this bread is from a cookbook from a kitchen witch, as I showed and as I mentioned in the announcement for Live. And it's kind of seen as a sign of prosperity, which is why I use it for housewarmings and business openings. Because this recipe supposedly came, it wasn't until after 1440 that people really had white bread. Everything was kind of a dark bread because of milling processes advancing. Geez, I'm turning it into tipple theory here with my history lesson. We don't really need all of it, do we? Okay, I think I'm going to take it out of the bowl to knead on the board. Then I should be able to use the same bowl for, I'll oil it up for when I start to raise it. Oops. Here's me breaking stuff. Hopefully I can show it getting elastic. It's great my hand exercises, right? Turn, fold, and you're just doing this until it gets smooth. I don't know if you can see it's still really rough. We want that smoothed out. Of course, the cheese isn't going to smooth out. We don't want that all melted until we bake the bread, but the dough itself. I'm breaking shit. I should have just maybe skipped the board and used my table, like I normally would before I set up a streaming setup. But we want it to be elastic. It's starting to get elastic. You see, it kind of springs back up. Excellent. after being pushed. But still wanting to break up, not being a nice smooth ball, so needs more work. Again, if you got a KitchenAid, your dough hook is magic. Does all this work for you. If I got anything in chat. Hey Natalie, how you doing? That fish stew looked amazing that you posted in the Discord. You said it was East Coast. Is there a reason you named it that? Was it the variety of fish you put in it? There's one prize I've been unable to give away that I gave away in the New Year's Eve stream, and it was a packet of my spicy breakfast sausage blend. I've been unable to get. I've DM'd on Twitch and looked around in the Diamond Club Discord trying to find this person to get their address to mail it to them, and I have not heard from them. And because of the New Year's Eve stream, Extra Life flipping over to 2026, before I was finished streaming, I can no longer reach him as a donor through that site either. It's a little bit of a pain. So I'm thinking I'll give it away here at some point. I looked earlier and I thought it was 2, but I guess I'm still 4 followers away from 200. So I might do that instead of a cookbook giveaway, or I'm thinking about Hando. Let me know what you think. Oh, Cook's Country. Cool. So I'll get the answer from my friend about why the name of the stew was what it was. And maybe try it myself. But Hando has been subscribing. He did the first couple months. I don't know if he still is right now. I can't check. Which I really, really love and appreciate. And he's actually had my sausage before because he came to a Southeast meetup. So I think I might offer to mail it to him. And then if, I think his name is David Price? No, David Pick. And his handle is pick_David. If he does reach me, I can always make up some more to get him his prize. But I don't want to cheap out on giving stuff away because I promised I would. See how it's getting smooth? It wants to be a ball. I'm going to give it a little bit more work. And then I'll put it in a greased bowl and cover it. And then I'm going to put it in the oven. Not to bake, but if you put in, just turn the light on in your oven. That's generally a good temperature you can rely on for proofing bread. The first proof on this is going to be about 45 minutes. And then I'm going to use a loaf pan instead of braiding or stuff I normally do with this fancy bread for gifts. But I'm going to use a loaf pan so that we can make Searanex's sandwich. And then I'm going to go look for some smoked cheddar or smoked gouda. I'm going to stop going to store after store for it. I do have some Munsters, so I can... And I have Munster and I have cheddar. But I want to get a smoky cheese in there because that's what Sean and I discussed. Alright. Pretty elastic. A little bit more. Maybe I should use the dough hook, or maybe this is good exercise for my hands. I also had someone run 3 cookbooks and they only wanted 1. She told me to donate the rest. I'm like, I'm not sure how I would do that right now. I mean, I could go drop some off in the, I'll check the food pantry's little free library, because cookbooks do tend to go well there, and see if, if there's space there. I don't want to just donate them to Goodwill, because then they're going to sell them. and I can just keep them and give them away to someone else. If she doesn't want them, that's fine. This was part of the giveaways I did on the Discord. It wasn't giveaways for donations to Extra Life like the other ones. Alright. This looks good. Let me get some spray oil. Good way to do it as any. I think it didn't coat as well as I'd like. And you know what? We are doing a fancy bread for our friend. I forgot the onion. Okay. It needs the flavor. It just needs the flavor. So I'm gonna work that in. I'm gonna end up going ahead and doing dry, even though I was gonna use fresh. What is about cooking spoon? Forget stuff. Alright. Well, the dough's going to get more work. This is not going to hurt this with this dough. Some doughs you don't want to overwork. This is yeast to rise, so it's not like all the gluten is going to do that develops in this is give you a nice, even crumb compared to not. I'm totally turning this inside out. Because now I have to work that onion in, so let's pretend I'm the KitchenAid, right? Just get this all different directions. Don't worry about floor bread. That's a nice clean mat I just cleaned. I got a mat to stand on so that when I stand for streams, I'm not killing my feet. I got the idea when I was at Connor's house, my son, where we made the burritos. He's got some nice kitchen mats, and I was like, how come we have one to do dishes and not one for me to do this cooking? Fold. Push. Kind of sometimes wish I had one of those big giant bowl, like long wooden kneading bowls that they had in the olden days for making bread, but I don't make bread every day. I make bread probably more than some folks. I mean, I don't only make it for special occasions. Rob has a really good recipe for a multi-grain bread with all kinds of seeds in it that we just like to do once in a while, and I have a hard time finding a baguette I like around here. I even bought a sourdough baguette from a local bakery recently, but it was, I'd have called it a French loaf more than a baguette. I really wanted something thinner and longer to be able to make crostini and put crackers on, or put brie on, or not crackers, make crackers out of. I like to slice baguette thin and toast it up and put brie on it and stuff. Okay. So, what I went to get was some olive oil to grease this bowl a little fancier than our spray oil for our bread. It does have some seams for making it into a ball, no big deal. You can see the herbs in there. You can smell the yeast working. All right. Okay, so, ooh, sorry, that was really loud. That was the beginning of our herb bread with cheese from Morgana. It starts with the basic recipe from Taka. I will post both of those in the recipes channel in my Discord. And I need a new copy of this book. It's falling apart. So I'm going to get this in the oven for its first rise. Thanks for being here. See, bread isn't that hard. I promise you. Seems much harder by hand, but, you know. Anyway, fantastic. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to cooking with you soon.